It's so early. You guys want to get some coffee or something?
Can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Even little kids in Mexico drink coffee.
Well, I'm not a little kid in Mexico, okay?
That is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
You want a cup of coffee?
No coffee.
Coffee drinker, huh?
Maybe we could grab some coffee?
Coffee, 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 coffee.
God damn, Jimmy. This is some serious gourmet shit. Me and Vincent would have been satisfied with some freeze-dried Taster's Choice, right? And he springs this serious gourmet shit on us.
Man, I love that theme. I'm going to play it a little bit. That's my new walking theme. I'm like Chili Palmer and Get Shorty.
You really like bouncy music.
Well, I'm a drummer. What do you expect?
It always makes me giggle when we go to commercial break and I'm on the panel and can see you bouncing.
You can see, and you can see, because you're logged in, so you can actually like see me. Like John does it too. When we hear that MUFON song, we're like grooving in the seats.
Yeah, it's shocking to see John move.
Yeah, John, that's what we need to do is play the MUFON song all the time. Since the show. He'll be grooving in his seat. Morning, everybody. It's Friday. It is the end of the danged week. Let's see who else here, man. Joseph Dredd is here. Wasn't Courtney here first? I could have sworn I saw Courtney in here first this morning because I think I even talked to her through YouTube. Captain Fandom Nerd is here. D-Bud Martin. Munka Jibbus. Alex Moore is here. I hope everybody's having a good day, man. I really do. I'm in a great mood, man. And I watched Picard last night.
We did.
So did I.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to tell you something. We'll talk about it at the end of the show. Whatever time's left after we talk about the final 3 episodes of this season of, The Legend of Vox Machina, which is absolutely still one of my favorite shows. Absolutely a great show. What?
I can't believe the season is over already.
I know it's over. It's like that. Boom.
No,
That's why I hate 13 episode seasons. What?
It hasn't ended yet. Today.
The season has.
The season has. We looked it up.
The season's ended.
Yeah.
The finale was episode 12.
Yep. For the season. They did get renewed for 3, and I've already heard that they're renewed for 4.
Yeah, they should be. That is a very clever, funny show. It's very enjoyable. I love the animation. Grog's my favorite fucking character. And then right after him, it's Scanlan. And Pike is a really good character. I do like her character. I really do. I mean, the other characters, don't get me wrong, they're fun. They're interesting. But yeah, those 3 are the best characters on the show for me. And but Grog number 1. Fuck yeah, that sword. That blood-eating sword, man. Oh, Grog.
Well, he broke it, so it's not there anymore.
He broke it. So he needed a new weapon, and I love how thoroughly he checked it out that it's not talking.
Yeah, he's like starts talking to him. You want blood? Hey, I also want to say good morning to Bill. Everybody, please say good morning to Bill. Bill is in the background producing the show. And everybody in the chat, feel free to say hi to Bill. He can read your chat comments. Bill's running on 2 hours sleep, so Anima has no excuse.
Hey, I'm here. What else do you want?
Yeah, I'm glad you're here because I miss you when you're not around.
I had no sleep last night, and I had a 2-hour nap. So,
and I'm not going to say the name, but we discovered today, Martin and I discovered today that somebody that's been a regular on our show chat and all that stuff, blocked us and left. And we're always nice to him, so I don't know what's up with that. It could just sort of, yeah, it's like, what makes me sad, because I actually really like you guys, and I like interacting with you. And when somebody disappears, it's just, I notice it. And Martin and I were talking about it this morning. It's like, yeah, what's up with that? And then we like, oh crap, he blocked us, and like, okay, 'tis life. Yes, that's right. Bill just let you guys know that's Bill under the KGRADB moniker there. Letting you know we do have a show this afternoon. Sadly, Mikey is in the middle of working on a production, and Kieran has to spend time with his woman, his girl, his
some
woman.
men do that.
And
Gerry.
yeah, I know. Guys that are absolutely whoosh, whipped. But I love Kieran, and he really is just the sweetest guy on the planet. I am a jerk. But both of them are too busy today doing stuff. So what we're going to do this afternoon is we're just going to kind of go over the latest news. We're going to talk a little bit about all the stuff that's going on with Bruce Willis, the George Clooney update, and more news from Mikey about Constantine 2. And we'll probably talk about some other news too. A lot of stuff going on, and a lot of parts, a lot of moving parts this week. And I was really, because we already knew, and I predicted it was dementia or organic brain disease, one of them, because whether it's, it doesn't matter what it is. They all do the exact same thing, really, in the end. They put you in a permanent vegetative state, and then your body just slowly dies. And it's in the only kindness you get from those diseases, and we'll talk about it this afternoon, is that you're not aware of what's going on with your body.
Well, at first you are.
At first you are, and that's the most terrifying part, is once you are aware of it. Once you are aware of it, it's terrifying. But there comes a point where it takes your mind. And I'm glad my dad, he started suffering from dementia his last year. Technically, he was kind of mildly suffering from it since he had gotten treated for the cancer and recovered. I started to notice he was slipping. And I would say things to him like, oh, you said that to me already this morning. You called me. No, I didn't. He would get mad at me. And I'm like, no, really? You called me, Dad. I've got the call record right here. And losing your memory is just horrible. And I watched him when I cleaned out his apartment, after he passed away, and he went quick. He had the Widowmaker. He had a Widowmaker. He was sitting on the edge of his bed, putting his pants on, and just fell back dead. It was over. There was no recovering there, because in order to defib and all that stuff, it's something you get wrong. You have to have fibrillation. You have to have movement in the heart. If your heart is dead, you're not going to do anything, really. It's dead. You're, the TA and AV nodes are just gone, and there's no electrical current going on in your heart. And when you go into fibrillation, it means it's like it's fluttering or it's just bounding and out of control. And defibrillation is there to get it back in sync, get it moving right. It's just sad. And I'm kind of glad, though, that he went quickly, because I could tell when I cleaned out his apartment that this was just destroying him. Because Mac, the guy that does the voice for the Military Nerd Show, Mac and I were in the apartment with my cousin Sherry and my daughter, and we found notebook upon notebook filled with memory tests that he was doing. And you could progressively see it getting worse. And his handwriting got worse too. And because that was the thing that made my dad happy, was being able to be inside his own mind, writing, doing whatever, research. And once he lost that ability, he was miserable. And so what's the fuel up link for this show? It's the is it Coffee Gerry, I think. I'm hoping, is it deleted? I hope it's not deleted. Because we got to
No, I just wanted to know if it was a different one.
Yeah, it's this one here. That one, Coffee Gerry, Morning Coffee Gerry. That one, buddy. So there you go. This show is brought to you by the amazing Fuel Up Hydration System, Wake. I just got a phone call yesterday from Kevin Keekler, and he's going to be sending me samples of the other drinks. He says, I want to get your reaction to it, because he really considers our team's reaction to the morning Wake to be one of the best testimonials they've had.
If only the whole team had access.
Yep.
Because
You
it's for us,
are
you're the only
forbidden
one,
to.
Gerry.
No, you cannot drink that animal. You will vibrate. You will vibrate into another universe.
I'm having super drink this morning. I'm out of my
too
Wake.
tiny for those.
So I'm looking forward to the delivery, because I'm just drinking delicious coffee this morning from Superman. And I love coffee. And but I will not drink coffee when I'm having it fuel. Don't need it. That stuff is amazing. And when I talked to Kevin on the phone yesterday, I was telling him, I said, what amazes me is there is no crash. And it's the time disbursement of the caffeine throughout, it just, I cannot believe this stuff is legal. It's so awesome. But it is legal and you can buy it, and you should. And he's already told me that people have ordered it through our show. So I'm very happy to hear that. This stuff, I can't give it enough praise. I really can't. It is the first thing in years outside of my girlfriend that's made a major change in my life. Yes, I was talking about you, Anima.
Yeah, you can't see, but I'm flipping you off right now.
Oh, but I was saying it was a compliment. Look at that. I'm a nice guy and I get flipped off.
Even when you're nice, you're a dick.
I know. Cavatino says, going from Critical Drinker stream to Comics Division in the evening was a crazy contrast. That is interesting. I am curious, Che. I'm going to have to go back and check out his review, because basically, and I will talk about it at the end of the show, my reaction to this show, and I will make my statement. And this statement is true, not just for me. It's for Keith. And I do believe most of the team, we stand on our ground on this one philosophical outlook about current Trek, that I don't care if it's good, but we'll talk about that at the end of the show. But I want to say good morning to everybody. So let me get back to it. We got D-Bud, Martin, Monkey Jibbus, Alex Moore. Real Wade Nation is here. How are you doing, buddy? I heard you were having trouble with your headset, so I watched your Madden football game video clip. And of course, Cavatino Cavalryman Che is here. Another fellow grunt. Yeah, you were watching Drinker stream. I got to tell you, I'm in the same ballpark with Drinker, because if you guys don't know, that's who I'm talking about. When I tell you that I only watch certain reviewers for films and TV shows, and it's Dave Cullen and Critical Drinker are the two review shows that I actually watch religiously, because they tend to look at shows and TV and film the way I do. And so I trust their opinion. And when they
Dave
did that
Cullen?
Dave Cullen, yeah. The Irishman with red hair. Yeah. And snarky as fuck. He's very sarcastic. And he's also, I guess, kind of sardonic. If you know what the difference between sarcasm and sardonic are, you'll know what I'm talking about. Very sardonic and very dry sometimes. Critical Drinker is more in your face with the insults, but I love both of them. And to find out that they're friends doesn't surprise me a bit, because they're two sharp dudes, and I trust their reviews. I really do. And if you've never checked out Dave Cullen, you should. But I can't imagine anybody that watches our show that hasn't watched Dave Cullen.
I didn't know him until
Yes.
yesterday.
See, they got to see all the episodes. And wait, Gerry R&B, yeah, I know that they did. And Dave Cullen, I think, saw all of them. And Critical
said
Drink
so.
only got to watch 6 via screener. Huh. That's interesting. Huh. Okay. I thought they had all seen it. Okay. My mistake. But still, he's seen 6 episodes. So, but their reviews are solid. And I'm in, I would say, close to about 90% agreement with all 3. But there's a caveat with that. And we'll talk about that at the end of the show. But let's get into some Vox Machina, guys. What do you, this is approved, or you say greenlit for 4 more seasons, or how many?
3 is official, and I've heard through, because I'm
3 more.
No.
Season
Season
3.
3.
Oh, just for season 3.
Season 3 is greenlit. They renewed that a while back, but I've already heard through the Critter grapevine that they've already greenlit 4, because they're also doing the new show of the Mighty Nine, which is the second campaign.
Interesting. Hey, Monkey Jeebus, bring that up again when we start talking about Star Trek, because I want to address that, and I don't want to forget it. Go ahead and star that one, Martin, that comment, because I want to address that later. But we're at least guaranteed 2 more seasons at this point, which is good. And I think this show's worth it. I think that it's actually bringing views, unlike the show that shall not be named. I think Reacher around, and
Terminalist.
The Terminalist are probably 2 of the most watched shows, new shows, original shows from Amazon. And I do believe that Invincible and The Legend of Vox Machina are probably the 2 most watched animated shows that they created.
Don't forget about Archer.
And I do believe they don't produce that.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Amazon, honey. Just Amazon. For Amazon. Amazon has 2 hit live action shows and 2 hit animated shows. And The Boys, I think, should be bigger than it is, and it's really lost viewership because I don't know what's going on with them. Season 2 hurt them a little bit, but I was kind of hoping that their numbers would pick up with season 3 because I enjoyed season 3. I thought it was pretty good. I don't know if you guys watch that. And their animated
I
special,
did.
their animated miniseries did really well too. They got some good numbers on that. So I think maybe the Boys will grow. I enjoy the show. I really do. Yes, it is typical Garth Ennis anti-superhero stuff. But in its own encapsulated world, I'm fine with that. I just don't want Garth Ennis working on comic books with, once again, revered characters because he has no reverence for comics. And he opens his mouth and proves it all the time by saying stupid shit that superheroes killed comics. It's like, what are you fucking talking about? They started comics. They're what made comics. Comics wouldn't be comics if not for 2 things: superheroes and horror. And horror didn't outsell superhero comics. It was the opposite. He's an idiot. He really is when he says stupid shit like that. He doesn't know his fucking history. I hate people that try to talk about history and they don't know their history. But it's just opinion. It's his opinion. And it has nothing to do with reality. It's just his opinion, and it's dumb. 2 more seasons possible backdoor references. That's right. You know there's going to be tons of them. In fact, I'm thinking about creating a whole new animated video with that includes me going and every time backdoor. I think it'll be funny. Look, man, there's nothing better than self-parody. I like to make fun of myself. That's why we were talking about before the show. It's like people who get butthurt by things that I say really are weird, because it's like you shouldn't be butthurt by anything I say. And then, they go, well, how would you feel if somebody said that to you? And I'm like, I'd be fine with it. I would be fazed by it because nobody can say anything meaner to me than the shit that I say to myself. I am rough on me when it comes to insults. When I'm walking around the house, now Anima's heard it. Anima has heard me shit on myself. Just, effing idiot. What are you doing, you dumbass?
I guess it's okay if you don't answer yourself.
Oh, he does sometimes.
Oh, I do. I talk to myself all the time, and I've been checked. I'm not crazy, but I do. I give myself talking tos all the time. Like, what are you thinking? Why are you doing that? You know? And my dad taught me a long time ago. He says, sometimes you got to sit down on a tree stump and give yourself a good talking to. He says, it'll keep your shit in order. And I've been doing it since I was a kid because my dad taught me. Now, my dad was insane. No, he wasn't. I'm just teasing.
He was just a shitty parent.
That was fucking funny. I'm sorry. Sorry, Dad. You know, my dad was a jerk. He was a real jerk. I play a jerk. He was a real one. He believed the stuff that he would do and say. What's this like Mortal Kombat? It has begun. Hello, everyone. My ass hurts because of the snowboard incident I had this week. First of all, maybe you're using that snowboard incorrectly.
Oh my God. No, why?
Jenga.
I'm sorry you had to hear that, File.
I'm so sorry.
We have the third breach. Are you going to address those?
Oh my God.
Yes, I will. Jesus Christ, I'll do it. Oh man. Boom.
Wrong. I'm gonna go check the back door. Back door.
So, good morning, and we'll do another one just for poops
Do the
and
new
giggles.
one.
Where's the new one? I don't see it. Where did he go? Oh, here it is.
Everlight, protect Grog and the rest of our friends, wherever they are.
I'm so sorry for Grog having to go through that. But that'll teach you. Talking swords that drink blood, not a good idea.
No.
The one with the dragon.
Yeah. Dragon Ruse is here too, and File 13 have joined us. So good morning. Glenn Fleming is here, another of our friends and viewers from the UK. I can tell you something worse than what you would say about yourself. You're an Englishman and hate those imbeciles who wasted that tea in that harbor. You know, I bet you there are quite a few Americans that were like, oh, do we really have to do this? Can't we just steal it and pretend like we destroyed it?
The hold up in the tea sounds like a drunk idea. Like they're wearing it, drinking it. Hey, you know what? We're going to drop that shit out in the harbor.
Oh, man. Hey, File. Yeah, we appreciate it, man. You know, kind words like that means a lot to us. Yeah, we're just having fun. That's all we're doing. We're just having some fun in the morning. And, you know, the Friday show, Fantastic Friday, is all about talking about stuff we just watched and, you know, and let you know. Now, I think we're going to diminish a little bit of the going into all the descriptors because I know that can drag the show out. But I think we should go into a little bit of the plot and premise of the show. And but we're just not going to go as deep diving as we were because I had multiple people say to me that really does kind of lose my interest when we go too much of a deep dive. So we're going to try to be more summary in our talking about it, and then talk about what we felt about the episode. I think that's more important. And and I think that'll make John feel better because that means less reading during the show. But let's get with episode 10.
Well, before we get started,
yeah,
I've mentioned this several times, and I've told you I was going to show it to you, and I keep forgetting until now. That's what I got up in Randy Get.
Oh,
it's the special edition Vexelia
with the broom.
On the broom, yeah. But she gets the witch. She gets the witcher's
Can you turn
hat.
it around so we can see the full body, so we can see the back where they show a photo of it?
Well, I only show half of it, but
that's really freaking cool, dude.
Oh, this is the one.
Oh, are you going to open it?
Not if I can't open the plastic that's in. So I put it in one of those protective cases because.
Okay, yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Save that for another time if you want to do it.
Yeah,
just record the whole thing.
Yeah, she's like she gets that witch's hat later in the game. I don't know if they're going to do that in the series or not.
Is it like the hat from Harry Potter that talks?
No, it doesn't talk. No, it's just a magic hat she gets.
Gryffindor.
Oh my god!
Could you imagine, like, have some insane like parody of that somewhere in there where it's like it's just constantly spouting out the names of houses for no reason. In the middle of something. It's sort of like that video because if you didn't see Wednesday, we had Don Shipley who's just an amazing retired Navy SEAL who does a show where he goes out and finds phony Navy SEALs and outs them, and some are hilarious. And he had this guy on, a buddy of his that he goes hunting with, on there, and he's like, "Yeah, if you have a problem with Don Shipley, you let me know. I hate that asshole. Vietnam." And he would just like non sequitur, just yell Vietnam. It was so freaking funny. We had him on Wednesday. What a good show, man! What a great interview. Don enjoyed him too. That dude's a real deal. I love guys like that, man. I feel, because one of the things I've said for years is I want to be around fellow veterans and support them. I didn't get to fulfill my career the way I wanted to in the military because I had to raise a kid, and I left the military to do it. So it's what I do from, 2006 on. I took an oath with myself to do stuff to help other veterans and to support them and to make them the heroes and the celebrities they need to be and deserve to be. Our culture is so caught up in hero worship that we worship the wrong freaking people, rather than the people who go out there and risk their lives every day, fire, rescue, law enforcement, and the military. That's just my 2 cents on that. I know Bill's backstage going, "Amen, amen." What is that? Sorting hat? Yeah, the sorting hat. Yeah, exactly. They should have, if they do it on the show, they should do something goofy parody like, very meta, that it just yells out random names of houses. Like in the middle of a fight, you'll hear it yell out something. I don't know. I would find that funny. Harry Potter. If my hats could talk, what does it say? They would be very salty with me. Oh, without a doubt. Because I imagine that's where you finish a lot is in your hats.
No, my.
Let's see if anybody even gets that. So, episode 10 begins with.
Well, we have the group that was in the Feywild, which is Keyleth, Vex, Vax, and Percy. And they get back to Whitestone, and except initially they can't see it because it's under a cloaking field. But it eventually gets revealed, and they run into Cassandra, Allura, Gamora, Kima, and Gilmore, and who tell them they've not been gone 3 days like they think it's been, that it's been 3 weeks, and that they wonder where the rest of the group is, and it's like, well, we got separated, and Allura is able to find them and find out that they're in Western. Well, we cut over to Western, and Grog has just challenged Kevdak, for control of the herd. And he accepts, and the fight starts, and of course Grog just gets his ass stomped. It's just, he's beat the crap out of, because he's skinny Grog at this point. And so Scanlan and Pike and Kaylee, who's still there, that they've got to come up with some way to help Grog. Well, as they're sneaking up, the Kevdak catches them sneaking around behind the boxes, and grabs Pike and throws her, picks her up by the head and throws her down and stepping on her about to squash her head. And of course, that pisses off Grog because that's his buddy,
Right.
and Grog remembers what Groon, the monk, had told him about the whole "where does your strength come from?"
Yeah, he's like beating him. Like, where did your strength come from? From from my friends. From he couldn't get it. He just kept getting beat harder.
Yeah. Well, he realizes that where it comes from, and he rages, and you see him Hulk
out. Anima even said it when we were watching. Oh, look at him. He hulked out.
But Kevdak had thrown him against a pike or a spike of some kind that was sticking out of like the barricade. And so he was impaled on that, and he pulls himself off of that and then goes and attacks Kevdak after, he realizes that where his strength comes from. The only problem is Kevdak still got those magic gauntlets, the vestige of Virgins, his stone gauntlets, and so of course he can't, get the upper hand, and he beats him down again. He says, he calls him a coward, says, "What makes you think you could win?" And Grog looks up because he sees the shadows of Vox Machina, the rest of the team, up on the tops of the building, and he says, "My friends, my strength comes from my friends who had no idea and what's going on." And so Grog goes, "Vox Machina, F shit up." And
that's their battle cry.
Yep, it is. And so the battle's joined by Vox Machina. It's a big fight. At first, they start getting the upper hand, and then the herd rallies, and as the herd is getting the upper hand, his cousin joins the fight against the father. And of course, he just got thrown out of the window. He's figuring he's pretty much dead at this point anyway, or off the balcony. But so what happens is Vex throws Trinket out of the locket, and then grabs Grog in the locket, and they fly up way up in the air, and she releases him way up in the air, and he comes streaking down there with that axe and basically almost chops Kevdak in half. There's a big hole, the big boom, and the makes a big meteor impact and everything. And so he goes and he gets the gauntlets off the Kevdak's arm, and then he, the herd's all chanting his name. Grog, Grog, Grog. I think they're saying Strongjaw, but he goes over and he unshackles his cousin, and he says, "You're the next Thunderlord to lead the herd of storms," and puts his cousin in charge. So, since they're, one of the first thing he does is pledge the herd to help take out Umbrasyl. because he's supposed to come back for the treasure. So they're going to try and take him out when he comes back.
Which I once again, dragons protect hordes of treasure, and I like that they kept that in there.
Yeah. Well, the game is based on regular D&D tropes, so
yeah.
But
and D&D, no matter what, is still inspired by
Tolkien. Yeah, that was one of the major influences. Yeah, but so they party. So there's a big, huge party scene. Everybody's getting drunk, and even Kayla's getting drunk. Well, she sees Vax over there, and she goes to ask Vax to dance, but he is seeing a vision from the Matron of Ravens, so he declines and goes to follow this vision. Also, Scanlan's performing with Kaylee, and Pike gets a little jealous because she thinks something's probably going to go on there. Well, the group starts talking about a trap. Well, Kaylee takes Scanlan upstairs, and of course Scanlan thinking he's going to get lucky. And while she's closing and locking the door, he's already stripped down to his undies and laying on the bed.
And you begin to get a bad feeling about that.
Yeah. Well, Kaylee ties him up and then pulls a sword on him and puts it under his chin because she's talking about her mom and her childhood and how her mom gave up everything because her father had left them without anything and had to raise her on her own. And he pulls a sword and puts it under his chin, and that's when you find out that Kaylee is actually Scanlan's daughter.
I like how he said, "So I am your daddy."
Yeah.
Well, she looks like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, like, when we first met her, it's like, what is that the daughter? Is he hitting on his daughter? It's not the first time that's been done in a story where characters have been confronted with hitting on their bastard child, not knowing it's their kid.
Yeah. So, yeah, and so that's how episode 10 ends. Is Scanlan laying there mostly naked on the bed, tied up, with sword under his chin.
Magic sword, too.
Yeah, magic sword.
And then,
Joey's here. Hi, Joe.
What are your thoughts on that episode?
Well,
Anima?
I thought...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Anima.
I just said hi to Joe because he just joined.
Oh.
Hi, Joe. What were your thoughts on that episode?
Who?
Anima, for the third time, I'm asking Anima her thoughts on that episode.
No.
I'm not going to go to the person who's just been talking for 20 minutes. Jesus Christ. Parliamentary works for a reason. Martin, what did you think of the fucking episode? Jesus.
I liked it. I really liked it. Where the revelations were accentuated by the reaction of the characters to the revelations, like when Grox understands that his friend is his friend, and the reaction of Scanlan knowing that he's a father.
Yeah,
and it's like you used to say, Gerry, that the reaction of the characters are more important than the situation itself. What is? I think those were the highlights. Well, and the rekindled relationship between Grog and his cousin. That they were, as Grog said, they were once like brothers, and you can see they miss each other.
Yeah, and it is a nice moment for Grog, but Grog is pretty badass in this episode. And he gets those gauntlets, man. That's super awesome when he uses them.
Yeah.
So, Anima, do you want to say now what you thought of the episode? Is this convenient for you?
Asshole. Well, when Grog first goes up against his uncle, I was like, this is stupid. How the hell is he going to win this without his muscles and everything? But it turns around nicely. It works. And it's so terrible when his uncle tears off his own arm. That was gross.
Oh my God, that's like one of my favorite moments. Because there's a
Yeah.
scene in the
It's
movie
pretty badass.
Commando where Arnold rips a guy's arm off or cuts it off with the machete and fucking clubs the guy with it, but they cut it out of the film. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that would have been one of the most awesome moments in the history of movies
In
to
the
have
film,
had that in there. So
in the film,
that
you
was
only
the
see
throwback.
when the arm is chopped. But
Yeah, you see him cut it off, but they don't show him because he's like, like that, and he shuts him up by clubbing him with his own arm. I'm like, oh my God, why did they cut that? So we get that moment in this where he rips his own arm off, and Grog goes, oh, that was badass.
And then he gets smacked with it.
Then it throws it at him like a tomahawk and fucking nails him with the arm. What a
I also
great
like
moment.
when Grog picks up the arm and pulls it out of the glove and just drops it because don't do
Yeah, he
that
just
anymore.
flings it aside like it was nothing. We got another backdoor by Wade. Let me get us a video here.
Front door team and backdoor team.
You know, Scan Dog's all about the back door, but quick.
You know, I do want to point out that backdoor is used a lot in communication of, especially when you're talking about intelligence gathering and the transfer of intelligence information through the backdoor. There's no way of getting away from that. It really is.
even in systems, you have backdoor access.
Yeah, backdoor access. It's just ridiculous how much into the lexicon of the English language that is in there.
Absolutely. I mean, we started watching the movie for Monday last night, and it had a backdoor reference.
Yeah. Oh, wait. What was the movie? I forgot. What was it? What did we watch?
Rules of Engagement.
Rules of Engagement. Yeah, we didn't
And
finish.
they're
We
on-
got to finish it.
They're on the ship making plans how to get in there in Yemen.
Yep.
And he says, you go in the back way or something like that. And I'm like,
Yeah,
backdoor reference.
and both of us were like, ha!
Yeah.
We're going to go in the back way. Great film. Dale Dye, my boss, worked on that
Can't
film.
wait to
He's in the
finish it.
film. He's in the film.
Yeah, he's
I'm
general.
very fond of that film because it's 3 movies rolled into one. It's like one of those delicious Swiss rolls, where you've got the chocolate shell, the chocolate cake, and then the creamy icing frosting inside. And this movie it's a drama. It is a action war film. It is a freaking legal drama. It's got all 3, and it's just the trifecta of awesome. And it's why it's really in my top 20 films of all time, that movie, because it's got it all. And Guy Pearce with that annoying New Yorker accent was freaking really good. And that's what I got to say it again. Aussies, the English, the Irish, they always do better when they go after people with thick accents in America, because they can handle those. When they try to do a typical American, only one actor I know of, English actor, has nailed it completely, and that's the guy that played House.
Yeah.
Hugh Laurie, yeah.
He has a very neutral American accent. He nailed it. It's like when I first heard him, I had no idea. I've forgotten that was the same guy from Blackadder.
Yeah. And funny thing, he hates it.
He hates doing it. Yeah, I know. He prefers doing his natural voice. And it's funny on that new show he does, the sci-fi show he does, comedy. He goes in and out of accent. He'll be American one moment when he's talking to people, then finally he'll launch back in English, and they're like, wait, which are you? People on the show are getting confused by it. It's funny as hell. I love that show. I forget something Avenue. It's a space. Lost in Space is really what it is, but it's a comedy of a cruise ship out in space that gets lost. and they can't make it back home for 50 years. I think is at one point and they're like, what? And they just keep going after one problem after another that they keep running into, including at one point, the company decides that it would probably be better if they just destroy the ship and say that all lives were lost in a tragic incident. And they shoot a rocket at them to destroy them. And the people on the ship find out and like, how are we going to survive? That was the finale of this season, that situation. And what is the name of that show? I can't remember. It's something Avenue. And if you've not seen Avenue 5, that's it. Avenue 5. Go check that show out if you haven't. I really do laugh at it. I chuckle at it all the time. He is playing such a likable, not so great guy in the show. The actor that played House. Good series. So now we move on to episode 11. And let's get into that.
All right. Well, it starts where 10 left off, and with Scanlon and Kaylee. And he's like, comes up with this story about how he never forgot, never forgot her mom, and goes into this whole spiel, and then he calls her Leia, and Kaylee's like, that's not my mom.
He goes into this long story of the impact she had on him. And it's a really emotional moment. And my favorite payoff for that is as he's talking and they start to get a little randy with each other, you see the butt sticking up in the air, and there's a whip, and you're like, ooh, and it's not her ass, it's his. And she's about to whip.
Of course, that was his favorite part.
And I just laughed my ass off at that. That was funny. And I what a great payoff in that scene. And the payoff, the punchline of that scene is after all that, she's like, that's not my mother. He goes into this great
and he just keeps throwing out names, making it worse and worse.
Yeah, it gets worse and worse.
Yeah. Find out her mother was her mother's name was Sybil. And that she, he says, well, she deserved better than you. And he's like, well, he admits that he was an awful person, and he wished he knew that Kaylee was, knew about Kaylee. But he's like, if you want, go ahead and stab me. I deserve it. Except that's not what she has in mind, because she says that would be, she looks like she's going to stab him. She tightens up on the sword and says, no, that's just another form of running away. And you see the sword light up, and the sword just hangs there holding Scanlon to the bed. And, she wants him to think about this. And so she leaves him tied up on the bed and goes to leave with the traveling musician troupe that she was with. So it goes back and it shows the vision that Vax is having, where basically he goes out there, he follows a strand of light that he's, like the connection like he had between his sister, or that is between him and the Raven Queen now. And he has this vision and sees all the people, basically everybody starts coming to life about talking about that they need to send their souls on, including Uriel. And he's freaking out, of course. He's until he finally realizes that he's fully bound to the Raven Queen. And that's what that whole vision was. She's, telling him,
this episode is him coming to terms with that, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of his coming to terms with this.
He was acknowledging that he was the one.
This is the episode he goes full goth.
Yeah, he does. Although technically he goes a little more goth next episode.
He does. He really does. What was the highlight of this episode?
The whole fight with Umbosul.
Yeah.
And that's when they execute Plan Backdoor.
Yeah, Plan Backdoor. I got to tell you something, dude. That whole thing, I would like to just capture it in fast. That entire thing is just nothing but backdoor. Everything's backdoor.
Yeah.
Before they make the plan, I love the dialogue that they have. Vax
Yeah.
and Scanlan.
That's
Because,
what they did in the
Vax
game.
said, I just found out that I'm the
They did that in the game?
That,
Yeah. This whole thing is what happened in the
Based
game.
on what happened in the game. That's
They
funny.
did that in the game. It was
Yeah,
like
but what Anima says, the dialogue that we have to
The
get
dialogue
inside the
between them.
dragon.
No.
Yeah.
Before that, when they're both like subdued, and Vax is like, "Yeah, I just found out I'm the champion of the Raven Queen," and Scanlan is like, "I just found out about that," and Vax is like, "Yeah, you win." I love that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of good. There's a lot of interaction between in the next two episodes between Scanlan and Vax, and there's a lot of talk about Scanlan's learning to step up and needing to step up and not blow
Step
everything
warning.
off like he does. But anyway, so they Scanlan and Vax have this talk up on the balcony. And they both, acknowledge that they both have a tendency to run away. That seems to be their natural response. And Scanlan actually gives Vax good advice and says you can't let your fear control you. But no, so after that nice little heartfelt chat, we cut to Thordak complaining to Embassal about not delivering his gold, but Embassal's like, we got these vestiges, we got to get these vestiges. And Thordak's like, get your vestiges, but don't forget your mission. Don't let this distraction just delay you from bringing me my gold. And of course, Rip after he cuts off the message, Ripley comes out of the shadows and says you won't have to grovel to Thordak once you get the gauntlets. And she says, you get power, I get resources. That's their deal. So she's wanting resources to build for some reason, for something. And that's why she's made this deal with Umbasul.
Sorry.
So you see Vax following what seems to be the matron's call as he starts walking up towards her temple that's in this town. It's in Western. And of course,
by the way, is it accidental that Western just sounds like something right out of Game of Thrones?
He does, yeah.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's just.
I was just curious if that was on purpose or what. Because I know they try to be meta on the show. I know they do that. But I didn't want to derail us. I was just curious if there was something to that.
Yeah, I don't think there is. I just think that's just the name of it.
Just happened that way. Okay.
Yeah, But I don't remember, when did Game of Thrones start?
2010, I think.
Okay. Yeah, well, it did predate it. It's entirely possible, but nobody's mentioned anything about it.
It's just something that got my attention because every time they say it, I think of Westeros.
Yeah. But anyway, so Vax is following the call of the Raven Queen.
2011 is when it started.
Okay. Which is before their campaign started. But so Vax and Keyleth are well. Vex is you see Vex following Vax, and he like stops when he gets up there and says, you know, he heard her coming from a mile away, basically, and she steps out from behind one of the tombstones and says, I don't know how you did. And then it comes out that he wasn't hearing her; he was hearing Keyleth, who comes out from the gateway of the thing because she followed Vex, following Vax. So he basically says, "I've got to go in there, get some answers." So he goes in there into the temple. He's he's got to get his answers. So he's surrounded by these faceless, masked creatures or people, in looking like they're looking like little mini Raven Queens, and they start to lead him off, and he's going in there and being led deep further into the temple. Meanwhile, Vex calls out Keyleth for having feelings for Vax. But Keyleth is like wondering if it even matters because the fight they're in and stuff, but Vex is like, don't let him get away. So it's a nice little heartfelt moment between them two. Well, they had basically led Vax to this big, huge statue of the Raven Queen.
Okay, we need to pause.
Yeah,
we have to go into our advert. So just remember where you're at. And, Bill, go ahead. Take us away like Calgon. Hi, guys. This is Gerry from Pop Culture Minefield here on KGRA, and we're leaving for our first break. I hope we survive.
A birthday without her mom. An anniversary without her husband. Her wedding day without her dad. These are the days when military families feel it most of all. The loss of their soldier, their sailor, their airman, their Marine, their Coast Guardsman. Families never forget their loved ones lost to war or illness or suicide. Families never forget, and neither do we. We are TAPS, the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors. We provide resources, support, and comfort to heal the hearts and meet the needs of grieving military families, all at no cost to them. Your generosity can make an enormous difference in the lives of the families of our fallen military heroes. Our military families need to know they are not alone and they are not forgotten. Show them your support at taps.org.
Facing humanity is on the verge of being settled once and for all. The Mutual UFO Network has been at the forefront of this journey for nearly 50 years. Our members worldwide are dedicated to the research, documentation, and awareness that will shape the future of humanity. Won't you join us?
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Oh wow, we survived. Welcome back from the commercial break. Now for some more Pop Culture Minefield on KGRA. Hey!
We survived.
We survived, and we're still here. Woo! I did want to say hi to some more people. We got, let's see. We got War Monkey, of course, Joe's Atmosphere, and PVFS. Peter Vickman Fansite is here. Looks like some more people popped in, so they're not mentioned yet. Let me go look and see who it is. Zax is here and Punk Waddle are here. Good morning, guys. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. I know we're enjoying ourselves talking about an awesome show coming to an end for another season. The Vox Machina, or The Legend of Vox Machina, one of the best shows on Amazon. And love the show. How are you doing, Punk Waddle? Hope you're doing well. And, of course, Kyle, I told you I need to talk to you, and you never got back to me. Sent you a message and everything. Just ignoring me. Just ignoring me. That was the end of the coffee. Goodbye, coffee.
Nope, that's the end of the show. No.
Yep, that's it. We're out of here. Show's it. No, I'm going to keep going because I have something else. I found some more caffeine in way of Mountain Dew. I didn't realize it, that I had some stocked away and I didn't see it. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been out for days and I didn't know. I'm so happy. And so, because if I'm not drinking Fuel Up, I love my Diet Mountain Dew.
I remember when the morning show started is when you're out of
when
coffee,
the coffee's over. No, it's still that's the slug line. But technically, I should change it to when I'm out of caffeine.
Yeah.
As long as I have caffeine, let's hear this. Man, that sound would get me running if I heard that when I was a kid.
Yeah, I'm in the final days of when I can actually enjoy soda.
What does that mean?
I will never be able to have carbonated drinks ever again after my surgery.
Ever again?
Ever again.
Because your stomach, can't handle the CO2, the gas.
Yeah.
Because it bloats. Yeah. Man. Sorry, that's another reason why I'd never have it done. I will never give up my soda. I couldn't do it. I can't give up Diet Mountain Dew or Diet Dr. Pepper.
That's okay. I'll be getting Fuel Up. So
there you go.
Hey, Joe, where's your robe, man? Where's your robe?
I had to actually, go out today early and get my wife some supplies for her crafting deal. She's getting a T-shirt commission done, and she needed.
Boy, I sure have had to go out to get my ex's supplies, but it's not for crafts.
That's why they're an ex, right? Yeah.
No, there are other reasons. I'll tell you, number one question that will end a relationship with me. What time are you coming to bed?
Oh, man.
Yeah. It's like, look, man, I know it's exciting sounding to date someone who's works as a commercial artist doing comic books and shit like that until they're in a relationship with someone doing that. And the last thing to say to me or ask me is when I'm going to bed, because 11 at night till 3 in the morning is our peak hours for creativity.
We're night owls, man.
It's not just artists, musicians, writers.
Yep. That's every creative person I've ever met.
Every creative person. Peak hours is when the world is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing fucking with them. And it's dark. And it's calm.
I figured I'd pop on for the second hour for when you guys get the Picard. Because I actually did watch it. Yeah.
Well, good. Outstanding. We will be talking about that.
I heard too much good stuff about it. So, I mean, I didn't even watch the second season, but we'll get to it. You guys finish up on Vox.
Anyway, let's wrap up 11 real quick here and then get into 12, the finale.
All right. Well, what I started to say is Vax had been led to this room with this big, huge statue of the Raven Queen over this pool. Well, he goes to walk into the pool. It's not water, it's blood. And so he goes and he basically gets in it. He starts sinking down at the bottom and he just gives up. Giving his trust into the Raven Queen. And
he's drowning, right?
Yeah, he starts drowning and he just gives up and he crosses his arms and falls back and gives up to the Raven Queen. And so she basically takes him to somewhere else. And she explains to him that he's was it a fate weaver? Fate touched. But he's allowed to bend the threads of fate around him, and that's what his job is as your champion. His whole thing is he protects the sanctity between life and death. And he accepts that charge, and she tells him no longer fear death, it gives meaning to life. And that changes Vax on a fundamental level. And of course, she releases him, and he comes up out of the pool. He's completely coated in blood, and he walks out to Vex and Keyleth, and they're like, "What happened?" And he doesn't, say what happened. He just says that he knows they're on the right path, and he's got this new peace of mind about it.
Right.
And so they said, we got to get back. Well, the Scanlan tries to catch up with Kaylee before she leaves, and he's like, he's telling her that I can be the dad you need me to be. I can change, and she doesn't care. So she takes off. Well, they basically they get the herd to set up the trap. This complicated trap that Percy devises.
And I do have a video clip, by the way. I want to show it while we're here from this episode. And let me find it real quick. I'm going to split it. I have to pause it because of obvious freaking reasons. But it's because it's 27 seconds. And it's reminiscent of that story that I've told about the kitty cat, and I had to go to the ER for getting bit. And the nurse says, "It says here you're bit by a kitten." No, yes. And she gives me an up and down look, trying to look for a wound or bandage. And then I go, she's like, "What?" And I'm like, so keep going, John.
Yeah. So they basically have the trap. Of course, Umbisil shows up, and he's upset that basically it's this little box, and it's their smallest the smallest things. But as he's going to pick it up, he realizes that something's not right, and he starts to back off. And obviously he's about to take off, and Vex triggers the trap, and these big huge arms come and clamp over him, and there's this whole fight with the herd throwing lines over and trying to hold him down so they can take him out. And so they're all just focusing their fire on him, trying to take out this dragon. But he gets free, and because you find out that he can turn invisible. So Scanlan, that's when during the fight is when we saw that scene we just saw, when Scanlan tells Vax his plan. So their plan is, what happens is basically they fly up with Scanlan's hand looking like this. 2 fingers, just like a proctologist.
And they go inside, and they get inside, and it's very reminiscent of Pinocchio and the whale scene. Yeah. And we got to sum this up as quickly as possible.
Okay, so they're in the stomach. They get up there. Scanlan sets that sword that Kaylee had left. That once you command it, it stays in place, and that prevents. It's supposed to prevent Umbisil from flying away.
Yeah, because when he tries to fly, the sword
it
cuts him.
Yep. So
from the inside.
He's like, "Well, you're not going to keep me. This is this isn't going to stop me." And he rips it out of his stomach, and takes off. Well, at the last minute, Grog has his axe on a rope and throws it, and it hits into Umbisil, and he's flying away behind Umbusel as Umbusel flies away. So they're and the rest of the team's like, what just happened?
Yeah, I mean, that dragon has a hole in his stomach and it doesn't impact him at all. That thing is invincible.
Nope.
Yeah, it threw me off. It really threw me off that didn't have an impact on him. But still, in the end, they you know, they do the job they need to do.
So, but that's the end of episode 11.
All right, let's get to the finale real quick. See if we can do that in 10 minutes, because it'd be nice to see if we could get at least 30 minutes or more to talk about the first episode of Picard.
Okay. It starts out with what appears to be a flashback, but it's not. It's actually an older Scanlan reading these stories about how he saved
Is that what that
Machina.
was? I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah. He's and it turns because you remember at the end of it when the dragon took off, Scanlan got knocked unconscious.
Yeah.
Right.
He's out of it and dreaming.
Yeah, so he's basically dreaming about this, and it's about him having a life with Kaylee, and those are his grandkids that Kaylee had provided him. No mention of a husband or anything. I thought it was a little weird, but okay. But he's reading the kids, and so, but
okay, I'm going back and looking at it right now. Now I get it. Okay.
But they start talking to him with he's reading the book and the words change to wake up, and then the kids start talking in Vax's voice, wake up, man, you got to wake up. And so he finally wakes up and he's like, you woke me up at the best dream of my life. And Vax is like, well, welcome to your worst nightmare. And they're, of course, still in the stomach. So they, rather than trying to go through, they realize that they're getting away. The party does. So Keyleth turns into a giant eagle and carries Percy and Pike, and Vex takes off on her broom, and they go chasing after Umbusel with the rest of the party. And Grog, meanwhile, is climbing up the rope. Umbusel tries to flies through some force, trying to knock him off with trees. Finally swings at and bounces off a mountain, thinking that got rid of him. Well, all it did was allow Grog to finally climb up. And so he's hacking on Umbusel with his axe, yelling, "Give me back my friends." And meanwhile, Umbusel's trying to flip around and doing loops and stuff, trying to knock Grog off. And that's throwing Vax and Scanlan around. So they realize that they have to go through the whole. They realize that going back through the way they came was there's too much acid. So Vax is having to carve into that wound to make it bigger for them with his daggers, and
yeah.
There's
he spews more of the fiery
acid.
bile at him.
He fires it at Grog, and it knocks Grog off. And as Grog's falling, he's like,
how am I going to survive this? And
he's like trying to figure out.
Puts the gauntlets together.
He hits his head with the gauntlets. They activate. And he's like, oh yeah, and he makes himself big, and he slams into the ground at his large size.
Still breaks the shit out of him, but he survives.
He's completely messed up. He's got like a broken leg. He's got blood all pouring out of him, and of course, when they land, they're all freaking out because they think he's dead, and they realize that he's not. So Pike's jumping off there trying to heal him.
And then immediately after that, they fall out of the dragon. They go through the hole, and of course Scanlan uses his hand to catch him, but then the dragon knocks the shit out of him right off of that hand, and they're falling. He's knocked out, as I recall, Scanlan.
Yeah, Scanlan's knocked out again, and Vax is falling. It's like he goes, Raven Queen, your champion needs you. And these big, huge black wings form out of the back of his cloak, out of his cloak, and suddenly he's got wings now, and he rescues Scanlon. He goes and lands in front of the party, and of course Vex is like,
and this is
"I got
also
a
the
broom and you
moment.
got-"
This is also the moment where, as I recall, he finally accepts complete
Yeah.
tethering to her,
Yeah.
and you see the tethering go tight on
Yep.
him, meaning that he is now fully tethered to her.
Yeah. And
I like
so
that.
He goes and flies. He rescues Scanlon right before Scanlon hits the ground, and they go flying. And he comes down angelic, like, you know, flapping his wings.
And everybody's like, "You got wings?" Even Scanlon, like, "Hey, where'd you get those?"
Yeah, he's like, "You've got wings? I am
Yeah,
so in
Vex
love with
is
you
like-
right now."
I'm so he's always
Vex
in
is
love
like,
with
"What?
him.
You get wings? I get a broom? What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Oh, right. She's got to get sibling jealousy.
Yeah.
And
So-
at the same time, Pike is healing, or trying to heal
Yeah.
Grog.
Yeah, but
Doesn't
he's
get
too
him
banged
fully
up, she
healed.
can't finish.
Yeah, she can't finish. She's still got a broken leg. So Vax, you know, they realize that, you know, Percy's been tracking through his the sight on his rifle, his scope, tracking Umbasol. He sees him fly into the cave. Well, they you know, because that's where he was heading, was back to his lair. And so Vax is like, "Well, we've got to go after him. This is the point. You know, we've ran away from a lot of stuff, but this can't be the point where we run away. You know, this is too important." Of course, Scanlon's thinking that, you know, is like, you know, we're gonna die. You know, he's obviously all negative about it.
He's always
He
a
doesn't want-
pessimist and always he's the guy that cowers during the battle. But we're
Yeah.
seeing a lot of changes in him.
Oh yeah. So they start limping up towards the cave, and they get up there, and the Thordak, while they're heading up, knowing that they're probably going to die, but they still need to do something. Thordak contacts Umbasol, demanding to know where where
money.
he is. And
Where's
my
his money,
tribute?
man?
Where you know, he's like, "Where's my money, man? Where's my money? Where's my money?"
Yeah, he was. Where's my money?
And Umbasol just brings his tail down on the communication and disperses it. And he tells, she's like, Ripley's wanting to run away because he's hurt. Well, he heals himself. So suddenly he can cast healing spells now too. And whether that's the vestige of the Virgin doing that or what. But so he heals himself from the wound that he took from, his hole in the stomach. And he's like, well, the vestiges are coming to us. And so the party goes in, or the party gets up there. Vax says, well, I'm fastest. I'll go scout the I'll go in and scout out and see what's going on, because he's got that super speed. In the game, it's because he's got boots of speed. It's not the actual armor that does it. But anyway, so at this point, Scanlon is off from the group at the edge of the, throwing rocks off the cliff. And Pike comes over there to try and cheer him up. And that's when he tells Pike that Kaylee's his daughter. And they have this little heart-to-heart kind of moment. And then they realize that, and while this is going on, Umbasol has attacked and has knocked out Vax. As there's a fight as he's spraying acid all over, trying to catch him. He finally clips him in his wing, knocks him against the wall, knocks him out, wraps his tail around him. He's holding him up. He's like, I'm going to rip that vestige off your mangled corpse. Well, the rest of the party, realizing that Vax has been gone too long, start to head in. Of course, Pike says, well, I'll stay with Grog, and Scanlon doesn't want to go, but then he realizes that he's got to. And so he says, hey, wait up, and chases into the rest of the party. Well, there's a big fight. he's able to he managed to knock Vex down and takes the bow from her. And then, but Pike and Grog come running in. Pike Pike does her Captain America routine, but Grog comes running in right as he's about to eat her. Grog comes running in and at large size and grabs him, and they're wrestling and fighting and stuff. But during the fight, he disappears again. He turns invisible. And eventually, Grog thinks he hits him, but what turns out that Umbersil has caught his hands in the punches, and he pushes him down, and his leg snaps again, and he loses concentration, and he's able to get the vestige. Well, he thinks he's got all three. Meanwhile, while this fight's going on, Scanlan has been hiding and thinking about running away. He's like, well, I can leave. But he's saying, well, I've got three vestiges, and Scanlan goes, no, you've got two. And he pulls out Mythcarver out of, cause he's climbed up on, Umbersil and pulled Mythcarver out of the sheath and said, this one's mine. And jumps
so
up.
Nice.
And he goes all
like
badass.
He's running away.
Yeah.
But then he
jumps up and
awesome.
he stabs, Umbersil in the eye, and then activates Mythcarver, and they see this big, huge beam of white light that like blows half of Mythcarver's or half of Umbersil's face off of it by Mythcarver, and they end up winning today. But they think at the end of the fight they're trying to find Scanlan, but he's underneath the ruined head of Umbersil. So Grog and Vax, lift up and move the head over while Pike goes over and tries to heal Scanlan. They're thinking he's dead. She's crying. She kisses him. And then, of course, he makes this comment about, just admit you love me. And
he's been faking it, yeah.
Yeah, he faked he was dead, and he was unconscious. He probably just woke up. But, it was her tears that woke him up. But, yeah, there's this nice touching moment, and then they do this montage. You see the herd honoring their dead. You see Kaylee, and it's this voiceover by Cassandra, and Yenin is there to meet them when they show up, and so she's they're having this big dinner, and Cassandra offers this toast, and Yenin says she knows Thordak's weakness and tells them to think before they act, and not everything's as what they seem. Well, everybody that's not Vox Machina is knocked unconscious from the wine. And you see half of Yenin's face form into a dragon-like face. It's the green dragon, Vorgel. Or not Vorgel, Rashan. Vorgel's the white dragon. She wants to make, she said she drugged the rest of them so they could have a private chat. And she says she could have already killed them, but I need you. We're better as allies. I want to help you take Thordak down. He's lost his ever-loving mind, basically. He's gone too far. He's stripped Taldore of all its riches, but not for the sake of riches. But he has it for another purpose. Well, you see Vorgel show up with his donation from where he's been collecting. And Vorgel tells him that Umbersil's dead. And Thordak's like, it doesn't matter. I've got an army that's coming to inherit the world. And it it pans down and you see in the fires of the Cloud Top district where he has made his lair, you see tons of dragon eggs.
And that was a cool scene.
Yeah.
That was a cool scene. And that's where it ends. Yeah.
Yep. Can I say something? You know that when in the Scanlan, in his dream, he's telling to his grandchildren that he single-handedly killed the dragon.
Yeah.
And
he
that's
did.
what just happened.
Yep.
So was this a dream or a glimpse into the future?
It's what he hopes his future will be.
He was. It was more him bragging about, because he's the next thing was the next story he started to tell was him leading them out of the mines. That he single-handedly saves Vox Machina from the mines of, I forgot what it is.
Yeah.
And so no, it's I don't know if it's foreshadowing about what's going to happen, but I don't think it was intended to be an actual prophecy kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's go to Star Trek.
My heart was kind of broken. Before we go to it, I want to say that was the finale, because I wanted more. I really did. I was like, oh my God, it's this can't be the end of the season. But yeah, that was it. That was the end of the season.
It only lasted 4 weeks because they gave us 3 episodes every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wish they wouldn't do that. I really do, because look, the thing about shows, and I get into fights about this, and I will stand my ground on this one, is that what I loved about shows when we were kids was that we would get anywhere from 22 to 32 shows a season. And that meant you would get at least half of a year of a show, and then half of a year of reruns. So you can go back and revisit it, and then a new season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you do these like 6 to 13 episode shows, you don't get that. It really feels like a fucking year ago, the last time I watched something. And I really hate that about these shows, especially when like Netflix does a mass release or Amazon does the 3 episode release. As awesome as that is, the reason they're having to do it is the show should be longer. When you see that, what you're hearing is an admission that the show should be longer. Because Anima and I complain about this with Bob Hart's Abishola.
Yeah, also I hate it when they
this
do
is really good
great
writing, good show, and it should be longer. The shows are just over too quickly. And that's the thing, when you start building good character dramas or comedies or things like that, you want to see more of that character. And it's just, I see huge problems with even good writing. That's one of the problems we have. And Vox Machina is a victim of this, that the shows, if they were 45 minutes to 50 minutes long for, to be released commercially on television, that's how long they need to be, is between 45 and 50 minutes, okay? For that 10 to 12 minutes of commercial breaks. And they need to make them that long. These stories actually deserve that. And I know these guys could handle that kind of writing. And one of the weakest arguments I've ever heard is like, well, with those longer seasons and longer episodes, it causes problems with the writing. I went, that's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
That's not true at all. It's
That's
not even a
just an
truism.
excuse.
It's a piss poor excuse. And they tried to go further with it and brought up Star Trek, which is a huge mistake with me. So I'll go, let me tell you something. Even the weakest episodes of Star Trek, the original series that I'm talking about, whenever you hear me say Star Trek, I mean Star Trek.
The Star Trek.
And even the weakest episodes of that show is better than anything Discovery put out.
Yep.
And you got something that was essential to making Star Trek successful, that if they had truncated it and made them shorter, you wouldn't have got. And that is the character development between Spock, McCoy, and Kirk.
Yep.
That holy dynamic, the holy trinity of sci-fi, occurred because of that. So when you complain about those weaker shows still had character building.
Mm-hmm.
So people who
They
think
still had
way,
that dynamic in them.
so people who think that way can fuck off.
Yeah.
We need longer seasons. This is bullshit created by networks and these streaming services to save money. That's all it's about. It's about cutting the budget.
Longer seasons and longer episodes.
It has nothing to do with quality.
Yeah,
So-
I mean I'm with you there. I mean, the advent of streaming makes it to where you can revisit it anytime you want to. Once it's up, it's up. But the longer season, it makes for a richer story. I mean, Foxy and I just got done revisiting. It's the third time I've watched it all the way through. We're wrapping up season 7 of The West Wing, one of the greatest shows I've ever watched, and we rewatch it about once every other year. You know, and it's 23 episodes a season. It's half a year, like you were saying. And and that's what makes it great. They tell it over a year, and they always have a cliffhanger ending. That's what I love, man. Those cliffhanger endings. That's.
I got to tell you, I
know you
wish
got a
I'd
good
watched
show.
the show because it's got a great cast, but I have problems with one of the cast members. I don't like him as a person.
Yeah.
And that's Martin Sheen.
Yeah. I understand that. But you know what? If I didn't watch anything that people that I can't stand make, I probably wouldn't watch anything. I mean, you know.
Well, that's the problem. And I just
separated.
talked with someone 2 days ago about, it's the whole separating the artist from the artwork.
Yeah.
Because, if I base my opinion off of an actor, musician, musical artist,
their moral
solely
values,
off
all
of who
that
they are
stuff.
as a person, I wouldn't listen to Elton John. I wouldn't
No.
listen to George
Queen,
Michael.
none of it. Yeah.
I wouldn't listen to Queen. I wouldn't listen to AC/DC. I wouldn't listen to Kiss.
Judas Priest, right?
Judas Priest. Jeez, Judas Priest.
Come on, man.
Yeah, and but the fact is you sometimes do, but that's what kept me from watching it. And I've been with more friends like you. Bringing it up makes me want to go back and talk about it. Because I really do like a lot of the cast, and I like the writing, and I don't care that they're lefties. The
I've
creator,
heard you say
the runner,
before on
the
your
showrunner.
show that just watching them walk up and down the halls is more riveting than half of the stuff that's on television now, because it's good writing, it's good conversations, But I agree with you. They need to be longer seasons. This new Star Trek, I was not going to watch it. I was like, why am I rooting for a robot that's
Before
of a
I
dead
go
man,
into it, Joe, before we go into it, I really want to make something very clear that Pop Culture Minefield as a whole stands by the fact that we will not support anything produced by Alex Kurtzman.
Yeah.
We will not support it. If J.J. Abrams and Kurtzman are involved with the making of anything with Star Trek, we won't pay to see it. We will not give them our numbers. I have Paramount Plus, and I will not use my account to watch anything by Alex Kurtzman, because
there's other ways to watch, but we're not going to talk about that.
I'm trying to diminish my use of the word. But fuck Alex Kurtzman and J.J. Abrams. I will not support anything they do. And if I watch that show, he's still considered an executive producer on this show.
He is.
He
His
gets
name is on it.
rewarded. He gets rewarded for it. And I won't reward his bad behavior in any way, shape, or form. And true legacy Star Trek fans shouldn't reward him, because he alone with J.J. Abrams have destroyed what we loved so much. Now, agreed, we can go back to 2007 and say Les Moonves and I just forgot his name, who's dead now. They broke up Star Trek in 2007. They broke it up.
Redstone.
Yes, thank you. Redstone. They broke up Star Trek, and they were the beginning of the end for Star Trek. And but we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about this show, and here it is. Boom, baby. Star Trek Picard. It's actually nice artwork.
Yeah, it is.
I got to tell you, going into this, I will not support Kurtzman, but I thought this was a good show. I was making fun of it. The first 4 minutes of the show, I posted 2 insults to the show, like pump action phaser.
Yeah, what the?
Oh,
that was cool.
Woo! I can hardly
They really
see
made
that.
her
I
look
want one
muscular
of
with that
those.
thing, didn't
Wait.
Pump action phaser.
Wait. The
Phaser
pump
shotgun.
the pump action, what it does is change the fire style.
That's done for a dumb fucking
Yeah,
reason.
yeah. You
I
can
don't
do that
care.
with a
It's
button.
pump action. It looks stupid. I'm like, what the fuck?
But
and
it has a news.
And then of course they're firing their weapons, which sounds like bullets. Sounds like a an actual military squad weapon.
They kinda implemented that in the first J.J. Abrams movie. If you
And I
notice when they're
dislike that.
firing
I
those
dislike
things,
it
yeah.
because it doesn't work the way phasers are supposed to work.
It's bringing the Star Wars thing into it, man.
I really hate it.
Yeah.
And so it hits her, and I'm like, wait a minute. If that was a disruptor or a phaser of some kind, she should be dead.
Right.
She got hit, a solid hit in the leg. So immediately they're treating it like bullets. I'm annoyed by that. And then
But
they did
apparently
something
she
else.
ain't got bullets because
And that's the 3-minute mark. Yeah, she disintegrates with her in a way that they'd never seen before.
Right.
But 3 minutes into it, that was a problem. And then 4 minutes into it, she looks into a reflection of something shiny, looks like shiny metal, and sees a reflection of the one alien that's left. Okay, huge beef here. You have a light-based weapon because phasers are refracted light. That's what they are.
Right.
They use a crystal in the phaser to create. It's a laser that's been hyper refracted by a crystal. Okay, so it still works like light, and they prove this. It's part of canon with Star Trek that you can actually bounce a phaser shot off of a reflective surface.
Since it's
She's
lightweight,
looking
you should be able to.
in a reflective surface, and all she has to do if she's looking at him, it's the whole what do they call that in the military? Something to sight, the term for launching a weapon. Anyway, like missiles, etc. It's something to sight. Anyway, she's looking at the target. Therefore, she shoots the target in the reflection. It
You're
will
talking
directly
about line of sight?
line of sight.
Okay.
She has a line of sight through a reflection. She hits that reflection. She hits the target.
Right.
That,
with a
that
light
works
weapon.
with a real phaser that shoot the light, but this
This
blaster
is a
thing
Look,
shoot.
no, it's still a light-based weapon. I don't give a shit. It's still a light-based weapon.
This thing is shooting plasma, basically.
It doesn't matter if it's plasma, because plasma is still powered. It's still lit.
Yeah, but the
plasma
will melt
weapons
the
in these.
mirror.
Look, I get so sick of people talking about plasma and not knowing what they're talking about.
Nerd fights, folks, right here. Nerd
It's just very fucking annoying to see that in Star Trek, because she should have been able to shoot him through the reflection. And I think that would have been far better than her shooting a pipe.
That would have been cool as hell, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
She looks like straight up Rambo doing that. Yeah.
Absolutely. It would have been far more interesting than what she did, which is cliche. What she did was cliche. Shoot a pipe, make it smoky, shoot him through the smoke.
Yeah.
Whatever. Fuck off.
It
But
took
then
us like
after that,
15 minutes to get to the first 5.
yeah, so here we go.
Right.
We've got this going. So let's not comment on the getting it going. Let's just keep it going. And we now get past the first 4 minutes, and then I'm fine with the show. I'm fine with it. Good writing. The banter, some of it was like they were doing things in the show that annoyed me. Certain things they would say. It wasn't what they were saying. It was how they were saying it and when they were saying it. The banter between Picard and Riker should have been more intimate and not out loud.
Yeah.
In front of an entire deck crew.
Yeah.
Him going, turning to Picard and saying,
Kissing his ass right in front of everybody. Yeah.
No, he makes fun of him because good save. He was mocking. He was mocking Picard. And it's something that I actually do believe that those characters would do with each other.
But they wouldn't do it in front of other people.
But they would not do it in front of the deck crew.
they respect each other.
He would have leaned over and he goes, good save, good save.
The thing that
And then
bugged
wink at
me
him.
about it during this part of the show was it still got Kurtzman fingerprints all over it. Everything.
Well, sure.
is
Her
dark.
character is so
Everything
annoying.
is dark.
The I don't know if she's supposed to be Section 31 or what the fuck she is, but
Mhm.
her character, I've never liked her character. Never.
Yeah.
Now she was more tolerable in this episode because she's actually performing a function.
Mhm.
And I think she's working for that Section 31, trying to find out where these weapons went. Right. I thought that was an interesting subplot for the show, and I'm sure it'll eventually, the branch will come together at some point.
Right, and boy, I tell you what, when we saw why they're looking so hard for these weapons, the actual result of what happens when you use one, I was like, whoa, it was like a teleporter that just destroyed shit.
And you see it in the show, and I felt it was one of the best moments in the show was when she shows up and sees that Federation building. Starfleet, actually, it's Starfleet. Yeah. It's got the Starfleet logo. Starfleet logo on there, and when that thing begins to collapse with that ring around it, and then another ring appears above,
and it just
the
drops
city
it
and
on everything over there. Yeah, it's like,
and I'm like, is that a wormhole? What the fuck is that? That was fucking.
That gave
cool.
the story gravity right there. You know they have to find this stuff because
I'm like, this is something else here, and I thought that was a really cool effect. The effects. This is the thing that makes this show stand out. Is the billions of fucking dollars spent on these effects?
Yeah, they
the
do
effects
a good job of that.
Are the best part of the show.
Ships looked great, and my favorite things about the show were the.
And I like the starship, that whatever that was that Riker was previously in command.
Titan. Yeah,
I like that ship. It's got that thick neck on it. Because that was one of the biggest complaints that even in space, that people go, well, it's a vacuum, it doesn't matter. Actually, that's a misnomer. It's not always a total vacuum.
Right.
Space itself is kind of a vacuum, but there's lots of pockets in that vacuum. Yeah. And you will go through that with that ship. And with a really thin neck on that ship, that would rip a ship apart. So the closer that the primary hull is to the secondary hull, the better. And the thicker that support, that pylon, the better. But I like the look of that ship. It really does.
Called
it has
the refit,
track.
the Neo Constitution.
Neo Constitution.
Oh.
I like that name too, Neo Constitution. I got to tell you, the guy that's a showrunner of this, I didn't have much faith in him when I read what his resume was.
He's a fan, though.
But when I found out that he is an actual fan of TNG and TOS, I'm like, okay, there we go.
And I'll tell you the thing that really
Gerry, please.
There is no season 1 and 2. I don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't even watch season 2.
This is just the continuation of Next Generation. It's one of my criticisms. They shouldn't have slapped Picard on it. They should have just called this something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, make it a new series.
A new
Generation
series.
Continues or something like that.
That's Kurtzman.
Yeah.
The whole thing about the Titan is actually a callback to the books because that's Will's old command.
Really?
In the books.
I mean, they said Titan. That in the show, but I didn't know there was books on it. But the thing that I really loved, and you can tell there's a Star Trek fan doing this, I counted 3 different pieces of music in the score from the old movies.
Oh, absolutely. And the end one is one of my is actually my single favorite theme from all the films.
Which one?
The ones that actually are part of the original collection.
Yeah, when you first see the Titan, you hear the score from the motion picture when they first saw the Enterprise.
That one I like. I like they're apparently going to be using the theme from the Wrath of Khan too. Yeah. But they're going to use all the themes. This is something that he wants to do. But at the end of this episode, they ended with my absolute favorite Star Trek theme, which was First Contact.
First Contact, I heard that music. I was like, wow.
It swells in a way that causes my chest to swell. I get really emotional when I hear that.
That film was the best.
And then becomes the Wrath of Khan. Did you notice that?
There are several things. First of all, there's a nod to Sulu's daughter.
Yep.
Remember that? That was in here with Geordie's. There are lots of little nods to Star Trek all the way through here. Real nods. Not those fucking bullshit Easter eggs they throw in to save the show because it's crap, but because this is from a fan who loved those films and those shows.
Yeah,
and
that kind of made cringe too when Riker was telling everybody that kid's nickname right there on the bridge. I was like, man, dude, do you really
that was a little
look like that in front of a crew?
I don't know where they're going to go with the kid that they found with Beverly. I don't know where they're going to go, but that guy looks a lot like the actor that played her late husband.
Okay.
I'm predicting he's a clone.
Okay. Well, he's got a British accent, and they were leading you, about the when they tried to have a relationship, Could be Picard's.
It
kid.
could be Picard's kid. Doesn't look like Picard. I think
The
Dave
name of the
Cullen-
show was Next Generation.
It was either Dave Cullen or it was Robert Meyer Burnett. One of them made a kind of looks
Dave.
like him.
Was
Was it Dave Cullen? Dave Cullen
Yeah.
tried to allude that it looks like Picard, and maybe that is where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he knows something because he's seen all 10 episodes. But I got to tell you, he looks
think-
like the actor that played Jack.
I'm inclining more to your theory because of the box that is shown at the beginning of the show with the name of Jack.
It shows
Crusher.
Jack Crusher's box at the beginning.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Phrasing-
when they were panning across the stuff in the ship before the firefight, I didn't know what all of that was.
Oh, and we hear the
I had to
audio.
pause it.
Hold on. We also have to point out that I don't believe it's an Easter egg. I believe it's a plant. It's there. It's a seed of Locutus, or him talking about being Locutia.
Yeah, Locutus.
Locutus.
Locutus, yeah. We hear that audio recording of him talking about that. I think that's there for a reason. I think he
Now-
planted a seed for the season.
I'm not as big a fan of Next Generation as most people. Whenever they were in the bar,
Oh, you're
and
done. You're out of here.
No, I've watched it. I watched Encountered Farpoint like everybody when it first came out and everything. I just didn't follow it as much as the OG Trek is my shit. Captain Kirk. Give me the guy that shoots first and asks questions later. Okay, not the thinker. Yeah, but
give me the guy that
part
punched
where
you.
they're in the bar, where they're sitting there trying to and Picard can't figure out how to get the message or whatever it was, and Riker says, well, you wouldn't know anything about this word because it was a code word we used when you were indisposed. And he was like, oh, and the Locutus thing you talked about. He was a drone at the time.
Right.
Was that actually in the show? Was that a callback to an episode?
I don't remember.
No, the Firebird thing? No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that was
code
mentioned
word
in the show.
That add 3 to all these numbers and got it where they actually knew where they were going. Yeah, that part I just didn't know if it was an actual callback to an episode or not. That's what I was wondering.
My issue with that
Well,
was that
again, they
after
got to
he was
leave that
back
behind.
from
It's
being
one of the
out, He would have
stupidest.
caught up on shit.
It was one of the stupidest plot points, Joseph. Put that back up. Him being a robot. Just a dumb plot point by
Yeah,
Kurtzman.
thank God they haven't mentioned it because
it just
if they
needs
mention it, it's
dropped.
going to blow my whole disbelief out of the water because I've been told
Seasons 1 and 2
don't
shouldn't
even worry about
exist.
the other ones. Watch this. So that's
Well,
what I
I'm
did.
wondering if they're skipping over it because he was complaining about his hand getting stiff. And then Riker was right before they were about to enter.
Talking about getting older.
Yeah. And
I
Riker
think
was
they're just
complaining about his
completely
knees.
writing it out, undoing it, and making it go away.
That's awesome.
Like it did.
Whatever you got to do, because that's why I didn't watch the second season when they killed him off and made him a robot. I was like, first of all, why wouldn't you make him a young robot? Secondly, why am I going to root for a dead person that's a robot? Why would I do that?
And
makes
third,
no sense.
why didn't Q
stupid.
just snap his fingers and go, look, John?
Absolutely.
John,
That's
you're
when
a
I
real
quit.
boy."
When I
started watching season 2, and I left the minute he didn't do it.
Yeah.
He didn't even recognize that he was a robot right off the bat. He should have. Q should have noticed that. Just fuck that. Dumb writing, bad writing, very
But this was
anti-Star Trek.
decent. It was a good entrance to this new story. And it looks like they're going to pick up old crew members along the way and stuff. I love the graphics I've seen. I can't wait to see Michael Dorn. He's right over my shoulder. If you look right on the right side of my head as you're looking, that's Michael Dorn's signature on my wall. I love the guy. He's awesome. And I can't wait to see him with the white hair and everything. The stuff looks cool. I'm kind of excited. But they got to stay on point with the story, man. So far, it's been good.
Yeah,
it's not
I
great.
gotta tell you,
but,
look,
it's good.
you guys know that Keith and I really admire Robert Meyer Burnett, and I didn't call bullshit on him when he said that it was really good. What I call bullshit on is supporting it. There's a world of difference between saying and admitting something's good, and then it saying, "Well, let's support it." I won't do that. I won't tell people to go out and support it. I'm not also going to tell you to do what I do. It's your business. It's what you do. It's your choice. I'm not going to tell people to boycott Star Trek, but I'm telling you what I do is very much for a reason that if you have an account with Paramount Plus and you don't watch any of the modern Star Trek, those negative numbers count.
Yeah.
They pay attention to who's not. We've got all these people, and not only do they know who's not watching it, they know who tuned out and when they tuned out.
Yeah.
And what it was that turned them off.
For me, it was about 4 episodes into Discovery season 3. I gave it that long, and once it got to that point, I was like, this is dumb, and I watched Strange New Worlds hoping it would be better. And there's some facets of that are better, but
2 solid episodes, 1 good episode.
Yeah.
The 2 solid episodes, and a lot of fans didn't like it. I did, was the one where the Q-like entity, which they should have just made a Q entity.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was like a child.
Yeah.
The
wrap up of the child storyline that's been trapped in the transporter. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the story of the sentient alien that turns the crew into fictional characters from a book.
Oh yeah. That was.
I thought that was actually a very entertaining one. I had problems with them making Pike the flamboyant flip character.
Look,
let me tell you.
That hairdo is just throwing me off. I love him as Pike, but damn, I keep expecting him to go, "Here, mama." That John.
Take that off the screen. Take that off the screen. Take that off the screen.
God, just silly. Yep.
But anyway, I got to tell you, the other episode is one with the child that's used as a source of energy or whatever. He has to sit in a chair and is basically tortured for the rest of his life in that chair. That was a really good episode. I was engaged with that episode. The rest of them I thought were crap. They had moments of fun, but the stupidity outweighed the good. I did support one thing, which is they actually used science, real physics in it. And somebody says, "Oh, well, going along the edge of the horizon, the event horizon of a black hole doesn't work that way." And I went, according to the new theories of how black holes work, it does.
Yep.
You're talking about old school, and there are new theories about how the event horizon works on a black hole. So it does work. My problem with that was the Gorn. We don't know shit about the Gorn. Never heard of them.
Man, come on.
They
Yeah,
were
that
a new
episode pissed
species
me off
until
so bad. I was like, this is lazy writing. They turned it into a predator/alien. What the hell?
This is the problem with doing prequel series, and it's the problem with Enterprise, that they started fucking with canon.
Yeah.
That as you move forward, from this point moving forward, there's no problem. You can go with whatever you want. But when you start going back, you're playing with history of Star Trek.
Yeah.
And that's why Enterprise
I tell you what,
opened the door
love
for
about
Kurtzman
Enterprise,
and Abrams. They
tell you
opened
what-
the door.
I tell you what I did love about Enterprise, though, was the opening. That montage at the opening of it, every episode.
beautiful.
I loved it.
That
It is.
always get
It's
me.
a piece of
Always
art,
get
dude.
me.
Love it. Every ship
Well-
that's been called Enterprise, that was awesome. I love the opening of that ship.
We have 1 minute, please. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to apologize. We have 1 minute to wrap, and then just fucking go on with it.
Yeah, cross your fingers. If you don't want to support it, watch it somewhere else. But it's actually it was engaging, and it has member berries, which we knew that was going to have because we already know the whole crew is going to be on it. So, yeah,
I like member berries.
Don't be too surprised, Danny. You've been saying shit that annoys me lately. I'm just telling you. I love you, buddy. But goddamn, dude, you say stuff that makes me question your IQ.
But
well,
I watched it on Danny's recommendation because I saw him on Twitter saying he'd watched it, and I sent him. You know how I love to send gifs. I said I can't support a dead robot, right? And it was a robot.
Why are you
gif.
sending him peanut butter?
But yeah, I'm crossing my fingers. I'm optimistic.
Wait, what did Penny say? I can't see that graphic. What is it?
Oh, she's saying goodbye.
Oh, you got to go? All right. See you later, Penny. Have a good day.
Well, we've got to go here in a few minutes.
Yeah, we are the ones who's...
Yeah, let's wrap this up. Picard. It was good. It was a good show.
It's a decent start.
I'm going to keep watching it. I will not watch it on Paramount Plus.
There you
they
go.
can go fuck themselves on that. When I say that, I mean Kurtzman and Abrams.
That's like Nerdrotic buying tickets to another movie and then going to see what he's got to review.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah, don't support it financially if you don't want to. Vote with your wallet, folks. No
So
doubt.
I want to thank everybody for being here. Let me go to our little private chat here, and I can read through the names. Joseph Dredd, Captain Phantom Nerd, D. Bud Martin, Monkey Jeepus, Alex Moore, Real Wade Nation, Cavatino Calverman Che, Dragon Ruse, File 13. I hope all the names are in here, Martin. Glenn Fleming, the Peter Vinkman fan site, Joe's Atmosphere, War Monkey, and let's see.
Cam's in.
Punk Waddle, Zach's Cam's Crash Courses, yes, of course. Zach's, aka Kyle, and The Dork Knight, who will have a show on Sunday, and he'll join us on Saturday to talk about that episode. Hope everybody has a good day, and don't forget to tune in 1 hour. We've got TGIF. Woohoo! The party that never ends but lasts 2 hours.
Hang loose, as they say in Hawaii.
Bill?
Hang loose.